Today I'm going to show you my recording setup. If you may know, I am recording my own music, and you can check out my YouTube channel. You can find many things, especially songs from my last album like Ecstasy. Currently I'm working on my next album, The Lazarus Effect. There are also some singles out there. The YouTube channel, also on Spotify. Please check them out. And I got asked about my recording equipment and process and so on. So I decided to put out a couple of videos. And this is the first one where I would like to explain you my hardware setup, which I usually use. And so let me take the camera and I will show you these things here. So first of all, I'm using the XFX3 when I'm recording guitars and bass. And I think I showed you the patches already, but yeah, you can check out my videos for that. Or maybe later, if you have time, we will check them out again. If I record vocals, then I'm using this interface, which is the Fireface UCX. And both of these things, the XFX and also this RME interface, are connected via USB. And the outputs of these things, they go to this console, which is an analog console, where I've connected all my other gear, for example, the Quad Cortex, the Valeton here, the Newix, and also many other things which you cannot see now, like the Kemper, the Rocktrons. And the output of this console is connected to these Adam A7X speakers, of course 2 of them in stereo. And that's basically it. So yeah, I've configured my my DAW, DAW, which is Cubase, and let me open the editor for you. So it's here, and if you go to the first of all, maybe let me show you the settings of the interfaces. So here, as you can see, I'm using the AZ1 driver, which comes with the XFX3. Currently I'm using the 512 samples, but sometimes I go a little bit higher with that. And here you can see the latency which comes with that unit, which seems to be very big in that setting. But as I use it as an interface for ins and outs, and I don't use direct monitoring, it's not a problem for me, because as I showed you, I've connected the outputs of this thing to the console, and I'm hearing the guitar sounds from this thing when I'm playing, and also the music which comes from from Cubase, to which I'm playing. It comes to this interface. So I'm playing in sync into this XFX when I'm hearing the music, so I don't have any kind of latency. And these 17 milliseconds or 12 milliseconds, whatever, they're computed by the DAW. So it's basically yeah, you don't get any latencies with that. This would be a problem if I would use plugins, for example the new DSP archetype plugin in Cubase, and I would like to hear the direct recording. Then you would definitely have a latency here when recording. But as I don't use these, or that is also the reason why I don't use the plugins. Of course, I could raise here the sample rate, for example here, then reduce the latency, but what will happen then is sometimes if you raise it too much and your system is not cannot deal with that, if you're using a lot of VST plugins, for example, then you would have some artifacts or some yeah, could not compute in time. So I like to use the amp sims of the XFX, and as it is an external processor only for the guitar tones, and then I don't care that much about the latency here. And yeah, that's basically the setting of the XFX. It's configured here. Where do we have it? As you can see here, currently this says input 5 and 6 Yamaha, but it's not true. It's in this case I'm using the XFX, and I'm using as the analog 1 and analog 2 inputs, which you can configure in the XFX. That it's basically what is it? You could choose here. Oh no, sorry. Currently, I've not engaged the XFX. I've engaged the other interface. So let's check out that first. It's the RME. Where do we have the total mix control? Here it comes with also this settings page, and here, as you can see, I set it to 256 samples as a buffer latency. That's basically because sometimes I'm playing newer DSP plugins, not for recording, but just when I'm playing on my own, and then I use this interface. And yeah, then you have to, as I said, you have to take care of the latency. And if you reduce the sample rate here, then yeah, you will maybe get down to 4 or 5 seconds, milliseconds latency, which is maybe tolerable when playing. And yeah, as I said, currently it's engaged here. You could also engage another one, but as you can see here, it has these 8 analog inputs. You could also use ADAT, and also you have 8 analog outputs. And currently I'm using the analog outputs 1 and 2 for listening. And if we go here to the audio page, you can define the inputs here, analog 1, analog 2, and also the outputs. So the outputs here are analog 1 and analog 2. The outputs, which is basically where the main output of Cubase is transferred, and then I'm hearing it through the, of course these outputs, the output of the RME is connected to the Yamaha mixing console, and then you can hear everything through the Adam A7X studio monitors. And for the inputs, I'm using, as I said, the RME mostly for recording vocals. So I set here the input 1, analog 1, where I've connected my my microphone to. The other ones I don't use in this setting with that interface. But if I switch to the other interface, the XFX, let me go back to my usual setting here. So I have to say sorry, because I've just switched to Cubase 12, and it looks a little bit different to the previous version. So I'm still having trouble to find out the settings. But let's try to change to the other interface. Where do we have it? Okay. Is it here? The previous version, you could find this in the studio settings here. But where can I change to another interface? Oh, this is here. Okay. So if I select the XFX3, it says change to, okay. And now I'm using the XFX3. As you can see here, these are now the latencies, which are coming from the setting here, 256 samples. And sorry. If you go back to this page here, of course, I'm using other ins and outs. I'm using basically the in1 and input 2. Going to the Cubase. It's out of block line 1, out of block left and out of block right. That's the configuration in the XFX. And as an output, I'm also using the it's still not I have to set it up here. Here you have the XFX3 now, and then usually I would use the output 1 and output 2. But it's also using now here the output 1, output 2. So although it says Fireface, it's my usually it's the output of the interface which is currently activated. So I hope you could understand this. It's really easier than it sounds, and yeah, you've just to keep an eye on the latencies. So that's basically it, and then of course you're hearing everything through the currently selected interface, and then record. So that's it for my recording setup. Hope this helps you. If you got any questions, please post them in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel. Goodbye.